Hi there, Mark here, Keto Fitness. Today I'm going to be making some linseed bread. I'm going to make it in small rolls, perfect for burgers and taking out on the packed lunch. So stay tuned, see how we make them. And you can either use golden linseeds that haven't been milled, because I'm going to mill them myself. So it is cheaper buying it this way if you want to buy it in bags. So you can get a kilo bag of golden linseed for about £3. Whereas when you buy the milled linseed from Aldi, which is the best value place, it's about £2 for a quarter of a kilo. So it works out about £8 a kilo or just under. So it's only 40 grams of seeds. Any of these bullets will do this. So there you go. 40 grams of milled linseed. A little bit of salt, literally no more than a quarter of a teaspoon in a single roll. Half a teaspoon of baking powder. If you want to put spices and herbs in it, now's the time to do it. So I'm going to put a little pinch of mixed herbs in it. You can make it garlic and herb, you can put any spices that you like in it, and it actually does help with the flavours. Right, so there we go. Dry ingredients. 1 large egg. And then 30 mils. This is lukewarm water. So effectively it's 2 tablespoons of water, isn't it?
Yeah.
30 mils, 30 grams, 2 tablespoons. It looks a little bit watery in here, but trust me, it works. And actually, if you're going to use a mould or something, now is the time to get it into the mould, because it's easier, because obviously it's quite runny. I've got 2 moulds. I've got a bagel mould, so it's a silicone, it was a selection of 4, we just cut one off to try something out. And I've got a little roasting tin. That will work perfectly. So I'm going to use this for this one. I use a little roasting tin. I've lined it. You are best lining it with the bagel mould. I actually sort of I've put some oil in there. Again, it doesn't look like bread yet. That's probably going to take about 15-20 minutes in the oven. Obviously, a smaller roll will not take as long as one of the big loaves. I'm going to stick that in while I start making the other stuff.
What's next?
Bigger volume. Right. So the recipe in FFS is to make 8 small rolls. So I use these little tins, which I've got from Morrison's. So they are almost like a burger size. So they make perfect little burger rolls. They were £2 for 2. You can get them in Wilkinson's, you can get them all over the place. And I use these a lot for different recipes. So let me get a bigger bowl. So I'm going to make a batch of them. Now this batch, again, you could either make it into a long loaf and then slice it, or make it into these little rolls. Entirely up to you. There isn't enough in here for the full lot, so I'm going to have to grind some more. So I need 250 grams of golden linseed, baking powder, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, a good pinch of salt. One thing you can do to give it a little bit more rise and a little bit more fluffiness inside, because the linseed bread is quite dense. You can make the linseed less dense by adding a little bit of yeast, dried yeast to it. So the reason why I do a full mix is just to sort of use one whole sachet rather than having to try and weigh out sort of yeast. So these are 7-gram packets. So straight in. And give it a mix. Get all of the powders mixed in together before you start adding liquids, just so you don't get a lump of baking powder. Again, if you want to flavour it now. If you want to add some spices and herbs to it, then do that. I'm going to leave these plain. I'm not sure what we're going to be using them for. I think we're having burgers later in the week, so we use them as burger rolls. Right, eggs. 6 eggs. It's exactly the same now. It's no different. Eggs, water, but then we're going to divide them up. Now, do you think this bread is an eggy bread? to you? Does it
No.
taste? Because it doesn't to me anymore. I know some people, when you first try this bread, people seem to think it's quite eggy, but
No, I've never thought it was eggy, because the reason why it was our first bread recipe was because it wasn't eggy. I hate the recipes that are just like 12 egg whites whipped up and then you fold in loads of almonds. They're just not bread.
Yeah.
They're cake. And cake.
Okay, so you can see
Oh.
it's really thick. I haven't had any water to this yet. Just gently start to work it in. I'm going to do 4 little tins. From memory, it's about 90 grams of mix per roll.
Ross says, I wonder how many eggs you've cracked in your life.
Mate, I used to work. I used to
be the poached eggs.
I used to do the breakfast shift. One of my very first hotels, I used to do the breakfast shift, and my job as the trainee was to poach eggs for 5 hours, because we used to start our breakfast shift with room service around about 5 in the morning, and breakfast would go on. Well, just literally, it felt like all day. And all I had to do, or all I was left to do, was poach eggs. I'm going to use bagel mold just to show you.
So this is the same amount of mix?
Yeah, I'm going to put the same amount of mix in. To handle it, have wet hands, because otherwise it'll just stick to you. I'm just going to put them on the tray. Don't need to do anything with it. You could either have done that whole mix in one big dish and then bake it in a loaf tin, which is great. It takes about sort of half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on sort of how many mixes you've got in there. But these are going to take sort of 15-20 minutes maximum to sort of cook off. In fact, let's have a look at how the one that's in there is doing. So it's not finished. It's going to be soft, but you can see that it's rising just a little bit, and it's sort of filling in that gap. In fact, I'll put these two on here. Right, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for being with us. If you want to see some more recipes, why not come and join us in our Facebook group or subscribe and see our next video. See you soon.